Hello, and welcome to Introduction to Business. I'm your Professor John Harvey, and here we are in week 13. So I know there was a little bit of a kerfluffle about spring break. It looks like I had the spring break on the wrong week. So I tried to give you guys 2 weeks off. So hopefully that worked for you guys. Looks like everyone had a restful time. I saw lots of breaks there between either that first week or that second week, and I apologize for those that were working hard during that week of spring break. Hopefully you were able to not have to work during that week of spring break or the week after. It looks like we all made it through, and I apologize for that. I had everything scheduled and set up and just had the wrong week, so my bad. But looks like we're past that now. So spring break is ancient history, and we're now looking at the last bit of the class because we're in week 13. And I think there's only 16 weeks, so we're definitely coming down to it. So, all right. This week you should be working on chapter 17. So make sure and look at your where you are in the class. Make sure you finish everything that's available that's showing up, and you should be working on week 17 or chapter 17 this week. So just kind of giving you guys that heads up. I mean, we are coming down to the last little bit of school, so you still have one more paper to write, you still have one more test to take, and then just a few more chapters of material. So this last little bit goes pretty fast, and I would suggest that you definitely want to make sure that you're all caught up on your grades. So make sure and get everything in that you've got in. Make sure that you've completed the other business evaluations so that you're getting the points for that. Those are worth a lot of points. You know, you don't want to miss out on that. So make sure and look through that and make sure you've got everything scheduled. Now, to remind you guys, there are 1,000 points in the semester. So all you have to do is go look at your grade in the grade book, look at the full grade book, and look at your total points, and you'll see what your grade is. Because if you have 900 points or more, you've got an A, 800 points, you got a B, 700 points, you got a C. So that tells you right where you are. Now, unfortunately, Blackboard is a little confusing that way because it ignores assignments that you haven't completed. And so you may look there and you go, oh, look, I've got a 72% or something like that, and it has nothing to do with that. It's just the total points. You have 1,000 points in the semester. Look at your total points. That tells you exactly what your grade is. Okay, so all the grading's caught up and everything's like that. Now this weekend, what I'm going to try and do is go through, and all the assignments that are not completed, I'm going to put zeros in, and that'll dramatically adjust that percentage thing that students look at. So you might say, oh, I've got a 92, and after this, during this weekend, you're going to go, hey, how come it dropped to a 78 or whatever? Like, that's me just trying to help you guys really get a clear handle on what your grade is. But again, that's not going to change anything. You can go to the grading, the full grading section in Blackboard and just look at your total points, and you'll see exactly what your grade is. So that's been my goal with this thing. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Hopefully that doesn't confuse anything. Now, let me finish off with people usually ask about extra credit at this point. So those business evaluations that you've been doing, where you go to the business, you ask them a bunch of questions, you write a paper, I will accept extra business evaluations for extra points. So those are normally worth 100 points or up to 100 points, depending on how you do. Those extra credit ones, you can do one, you can do two if you need to. You can do 2 extra ones, and they're worth 80 points each, or a maximum of 80 points. If you give me just a one-pager that you didn't interview anybody, you're not getting the full 80 points. Okay, but if you do the same assignment that you're expected to do, and you just do an extra one where you go interview another company, you make another networking connection, you do that, that's worth 80 points, and that's a lot of extra credit. So now's the time to look at your grade, figure out where you want to be with your grade, and you know your total points, and you can figure out if you need to do an extra business evaluation, and you have 3 weeks to get them done. So like I said, you already have another one coming, so just plan on doing an extra one, and that can get you those extra points. Okay. All right, so that is the schedule. That is grading. That is extra credit. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about the actual material. So we were looking in chapter 16, and this is where you're talking about selling to a business. You know, taking a product that's normally a business to consumer or a B2C, and flipping it and turning it to a B2B. So I got some really interesting responses, some really interesting ideas, and so I thought I'd go through just a couple of examples. Now I'm pulling them right out of the discussion boards, but it's worth kind of just talking through this with you guys. So one example that's kind of an easy one to think about is rolls, bread rolls, right? So if I'm a bakery, I could make bread rolls and sell them to people that come in and buy them, right? So that's my business to consumer, right? So, you know, you as a consumer like to go into that bakery and buy a roll, right? Delicious, it's tasty, right? But you as a business could also look at that and say, how could I do a business to business deal? Okay, so in that context, you start thinking about, well, okay, what if the local sandwich shop, what if they needed rolls for their sandwiches, right? So now I could sell a bunch of rolls to that sandwich shop, right? So they don't have to make their bread. They can just buy it from me because I'm already making lots of bread. So I can make a good deal for them, right? Because I'm already in there, already doing it, already got the labor invested. So I could probably offer them a good deal on those rolls, right? So here's the thing. There's the attributes change. The value proposition changes when you move from a business to business, from a business to consumer. So a consumer is interested in one roll, right? The business is interested in more than one roll. So right off the bat, you're looking at a different kind of proposition. So that sandwich shop would look at it and say, I need 50 rolls. I need them delivered every day, and I need them delivered at a certain time, right? So now you've got a whole different set of attributes. You've got quantity difference, you've got a timing difference, and you've got a consistency difference, right? So, you know, everyone loves having a regular consumer come in and buy a roll every morning, right? But having a business buy 50 rolls every morning is a really great deal for that bakery shop, okay? So I want you to kind of just see that there's a shift there. And so if you were that bakery, you would go to that other business and you would offer your rolls, but you would offer them, you know, highlighting different attributes. You'd say, look, you know, we're already up at 5 in the morning. We're already making rolls. We can get you 50 rolls. We can have them delivered to you at 7 in the morning, so you're ready to start your day. And you don't have to worry about any of that baking. You don't have to worry about coming in early. It saves you labor time. It saves you consistency. I mean, we have fabulous rolls. You know, they're going to be the premium stuff. And, you know, you're getting it for a volume amount, right? Okay, so that's a very different offering than if you were to offer it to a consumer. Okay, so that's an easy example. Okay. Another example that was brought up was soda, right? So you think about like Coca-Cola, or even like a Squire, like a distribution of Coca-Cola, right? So as a consumer, you know, you buy a can, you might buy a case or something like that. But if you're a business, what do? Well, you buy a machine that has like a syrup thing and a carbonation canister, and the combination of those two things makes the soda fountain, right? So you're dealing with a lot more soda. You're also dealing with you know, a different kind of packaging situation. So it's not like a bunch of cans that you have to deal with or store. You're dealing with these crates of soda syrup, right? And then you're dealing with kind of a consistency thing. Like, I don't want to just buy this once. I'm gonna need this like stocked consistently, right? So you talk about soda, and it's a different value proposition when you're talking business to business versus business to consumer. Okay? So those ones were kind of low-hanging fruit, fairly straightforward. Some people brought up some other interesting ones, and I thought, like, let's just brainstorm through this. So Netflix, right? Right now, Netflix is business to consumer, right? So I personally sign on to Netflix, and I have an account, and I have my profile, and I go through that, right? Okay, so that's a business to consumer. Okay, but Netflix does have a business to business offering. Okay, and the simple one here is a hotel, right? So every hotel room has a TV, and every TV has an option for Netflix, and you're not saving a profile, right? But you're just getting the streaming services. You don't have the same kind of lockdown stuff, or maybe you have more of it, right? Maybe you're filtering things down because you don't want your 7-year-old, opening up the regular Netflix queue and seeing a whole bunch of, horror movies or something, right? So maybe you want a custom screen when you're doing a business to consumer option for Netflix, right? You're also talking about a bulk deal, right? So it's not just 1 month, one user. You're talking, well, we're going to have, 200 rooms that are using this thing potentially every day. So how do we structure that deal? So it's very different. Okay, so I just want you thinking about this. Laundry detergent. Okay, so a very similar concept. If I'm buying a laundry detergent, as a business to consumer, I'm looking at a retail store that has to, I sell it into the retail store. That retail store then sells it to consumers. The packaging cover. I might have marketing and advertising, so I get commercials and, all that kind of stuff, right? But if I'm selling to a business, right? So what businesses would take laundry detergent? Well, hotel rooms, maybe dry cleaning places, maybe camps, right? Like a scout camp or something like that. So those kind of areas would need to buy bulk laundry detergent. Okay, they might be doing much larger batches, so it's not like 1 scoop for one load of your it's like, well, no, what if I have a 70-gallon tank of laundry that I'm doing, right? Like, that's a different scale of laundry detergent that I'm using. Okay, so my packaging might be different. It might come in a tub, right? It might have like a big scoop, so you can say, this handles your standard industrial washing machine, right? And so, the portion sizes are different, and, the packaging is a little different. And so how you would promote that product would be very different. You say, look, this is the best, you might talk about the cleanliness, but you'd also be talking about the volume, and you'd be talking about the ease of use, and you'd be talking about those things that as a consumer, we're kind of not really talking about the ease of use of laundry detergent. Like, that's not a big deal because moms use it once a week, or maybe once a day or something like that. But if I'm in an industrial situation, my usage is different, right? Okay, so walking through those examples, that's what I want you to think about, and that's what I was shooting for with this chapter 16 discussion board, so that you get an idea that options, or the way that you would promote that, is different. This is really important because you're going to go work for a company somewhere, and maybe your company is only focused on one or the other. And so making that mind shift and thinking about it, saying, hey, could we sell this to businesses? Or, hey, we're only selling to businesses. Could we sell this to consumers? What would we do different? That can open up a whole new market for a business. Okay, so this is kind of an important one to think about. It's a tool in your toolkit for you to think about. And so I want to make sure that I communicated that and walked you through that as I see you guys kind of putting those in. So that's chapter 16. All right, guys, with that, have a great week. I look forward to talking with you next week. Like I said, get a handle on your grade now, because when it comes time to finals week, there's just not much you can do about changing your grade. But you're at a point now where you can start to schedule and figure out, okay, do I need to hustle? Do I need to get another evaluation in? Make sure and get a good handle on your grade now, before it just locks up and you run out of time. All right, guys. With that, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.